Hello everyone, welcome to NRI Legal World. If you are an NRI with property interests in India, then today's topic is one of the most important tools you can use to protect your assets and maintain your family peace, the Family Settlement Deed. Before we get into practical situations and common concerns, let's first understand the foundation of this concept. So, what exactly is a family settlement deed? A family settlement is a process recognized by Indian law where the family sits together and mutually decides how to divide their property. Now, there are two key things which you must keep in mind before entering into such a settlement. First, the law does not require the property to be divided equally. If the family agrees to give one person a larger share and another a smaller one, that is perfectly legal. Second, every single shareholder or family member must agree. Once that consensus is reached, a settlement deed is drafted, a written document that formally records this agreement. Now that we have understand the basics, let's address a very common concern, especially among the NRIs. What happens if a parent passes away without leaving a will? Can a family settlement deed still help? Well, absolutely yes. Under the Hindu Succession Act, if a person dies intestate, that is, without leaving a will, then the property devolves upon the legal heirs. While the law generally provides equal shares among Class 1 heirs, the family can use settlement deed to rearrange those shares by mutual agreement. This allows the estate to be settled quickly without entering into lengthy court proceedings. At this point, you might be wondering, why should one prefer a family settlement deed over litigation? There are three main benefits. It is a much faster process as compared to litigation. It is significantly more cost effective than fighting a case in the court for years. And most importantly, it preserves family bhaichara. It provides a peaceful solution where everyone is satisfied, avoiding the bitterness of legal disputes. Now that we have discussed the advantages, let's understand how the process works in practice, because this is where many people get confused. Does the process change depending on where the property is located? Yes, and this is a very important distinction. For rural or village land, the deed is submitted to the Patwari, who forwards it to the Kanungo and finally to the Tehsildar for sanction of the deed. The intikal is then updated. In most cases, there is no requirement for high stamp duty or mandatory registration for such rural land settlements. For urban property, if the land is situated within municipal limits or under authorities like Gamada, then the deed must be registered with the Tehsildar. Once registered, it is submitted to the relevant state office for transfer of ownership in official records. Now let's address a situation that often creates conflict within families. What if one family member, for example, one out of 4 siblings, refuses to sign the deed? In that case, if the property is joint, the settlement cannot proceed without that person. 100% consent is mandatory for a joint family settlement. However, if the shares are already separate, the remaining members can settle their respective portions independently. But for a collective family settlement deed, everyone must give their consent. Moving ahead, let's talk about a very practical concern for NRIs living abroad. Do they need to travel to India to execute a family settlement deed? Not necessarily. You can execute a special power of attorney in favor of a trusted person in India specifically for this purpose. The special power of attorney must be notarized and duly attested by the Indian embassy or consulate in the country where you reside. The appointed attorney can then sign and act on your behalf. Now that execution is clear, let's understand the legal strength of this document. How is a family settlement deed drafted? Or can it be challenged later? The deed is legally binding. It can be challenged if it is proven that it was executed under pressure, fraud, or coercion. For drafting, you can approach a licensed Vasika Navees at the court. They are trained to include all the necessary legal details, such as name of the parties, property particulars or kila numbers, and the exact terms of division. The process remains simple as long as the family is in agreement. And finally, before proceeding with any settlement, there is one essential requirement which cannot be overlooked. The most important prerequisite is clear title. The property must properly reflect in the Jamabandi, and there should be no existing court stay or dispute. If the title is clear, a family settlement deed becomes one of the most legally sound and dispute free methods to manage inheritance. So, in conclusion, when handled with mutual understanding and proper legal guidance, a family settlement deed is not just a document. It is a way to protect relationships while securing property rights. This video was for informational purposes only. For any professional guidance, it is advised to seek professional help. You can contact NRI Legal World for any professional guidance. Thank you.